From the Asgard Company Studios in beautiful Wichita Falls, Texas, from the finest mind in the modern fitness industry, the one true voice in the strength and conditioning profession, the most important podcast on the internet. Ladies and gentlemen, starting Strength Radio. Thank you, Mark Wolf. Welcome to Starting Strength Radio, where extremely important shit gets discussed. Comments from the haters. Good points, well elucidated from a couple of fat fucks.
Which one is that on? You and Abil?
Me and Abil, yeah. Me and a heart surgeon. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Smelly brown Indian. No. We're going to. This is from a guy named N-A-U-O. Nao.
He's a less smelly brown.
Yeah, he's. That sounds like an awfully brown name. Sounds like a very brown name to me. All right. Rip has always has to expose his ignorance on nutrition. A friend in the meat industry told him to eat a minimum of 300 grams of protein a day. What a fat retard he is. And Santana is too scared to correct him like all starting strength sycophants. Also tired of his bitch tit having ass pretending he is anything less than 30% body fat. His gut hangs a good 3 to 4 inches over his belt. Fucking slob. I went to a seminar once and all Rib did was snort and grunt the whole time. I've never been around anyone as unhealthy sounding as him. I thought he was going to have a heart attack any minute. He looked horrible. All right, here's a good one. Jesus Christ. This is Frank Hudacek. Jesus Christ, stop worrying about what YouTube comments say. Or at least stop bringing it up every 90 seconds. God damn. I'm a jacked metrosexual. No, you're not. I had a boyfriend for a year once. And he put his penis inside of my anal orifice twice, and it was not protected sex. Also, I'm getting hard just thinking about it. This is Frank Hudacek. Look, I'm just reading the goddamn thing. Bree printed it out. I read it. But there's a thing at the bottom of this that says, show less. I'm thinking maybe that would have been good to do. Let's see. When will a segment of Starting Strength Radio come out with a segment on icing your testicles? Well, it might be a while. We'll try to get around to that, though. We got to find a volunteer first. Would you like? No. This is B. Roberts 42115. Give us a call, B. Do you see why you people are the bottom 3%? Maybe the bottom 2%. Maybe the percentage has shrunk. Okay.
You got one more.
One more. No Fap Gamer G. This is our favorite one. We always read this. Why are Mark's nipples hard? Is he some kind of pervert? Is he some kind of pervert? Oh, fuck. Oh, that's so much fun. We got to keep doing this. This is the greatest goddamn thing. Joining me this week is our friend Jay Livsey. Jay is from Denver. Jay is the owner of Starting Strength Denver. This was a free shirt. That's why I've got it on. No other reason. So, Jay, what the hell's happening, man? How far along are you? And we're recording this on July the 3rd? July 23rd. So when this runs, by the time this runs, the damn thing may be open.
Doubtful.
Probably not.
Doubtful.
Probably not. You know why? Because commercial real estate people are involved.
Yeah. I hate to go that far, but yes. So actually, I just got an update right before we got on here.
Right.
The drawings are complete.
Right.
Minus the MEP portion.
What is the MEP?
I don't know. They need some They need some engineers involved. They need the information.
Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing.
Right. And they need the HVAC information.
Yeah.
And they need an HVAC in there before we can get that information.
So the landlord has to install the
unit.
The unit before anything can. Oh God, this may take another couple of years.
The scary part was
right.
We might get a bid back by the end of the week.
Might.
Yeah.
Might. It's been our common experience, boys and girls, that when you try to go around the country and open small businesses like we're trying to do, the primary problem is commercial real estate. So in Jay's case, how long had that place been available? It's sitting there empty, just air in it, right? For what, years? How long was it vacant?
I mean, they're vacant a long time.
Yeah,
that guy.
Months and months and months. Didn't you tell me it'd been a couple of years since anything had been in there?
No, that other place that we thought we had lined up had been always vacant since being built in 2006.
Right. 2006, so it had been vacant for 13 years.
The city told me that.
Yeah.
Went down there and said, oh, there's nothing's ever been in there, so the permitting should be fine.
Right.
And
so
then,
he goes in and says, here's a check. I want to rent the space. And they go, hold on.
Hold on. Whoa.
I don't know. I kind of think we might just like to just leave it empty.
Let's just slow down.
Let's slow down now because empty is, if it's empty, then we don't have to try to find the key.
I mean, it's empty.
It's still empty.
Still empty.
Still empty.
Yeah, they were. I mean, it is a shell ready to go. It was bizarre.
Yeah,
bizarre.
Well, it's usually bizarre.
Yeah,
these things are. This is universally the case that
right.
we have found. I like that deal in Dallas that we were. Looking at. We looked at that place. What was it, Nick? June of last year. Yeah. It was June of 2018. We found a location in Dallas. This is when we were thinking about having a company own one of the gyms.
Right.
And we identified the location. They said it was for rent. We said we wanted to lease it. And we fucked around with these people until the middle of December.
Jeez.
And they came back in the middle of December and said, well, all these hoops we've made you jump through are all well and good, but we decided we want another $95,000 deposit from you because you guys don't seem to have any W-2 income. At that point, we our real estate broker said, look, I'm not even going to present that to these guys. You guys are not actually serious about this. So we just blew that whole idea off because it was just too goddamn frustrating. But it's been the same way just virtually everywhere.
I mean, these guys we finally found when we signed the lease, and they've been really good to work with, but like little stuff like this, like the HVAC.
Yeah.
We got 3 people involved. When's it going to happen? It's like...
one of them's always on vacation.
Everybody's, very busy. He's very busy.
Oh, they're very busy. These are busy people.
Everybody's very busy. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And their primary deal, like leasing commercial real estate space,
yes,
is not part of why they're busy.
Yeah.
Apparently, God almighty. So, well, that's a little update. So, at some point here this year, this thing's going to get done. And those of you in Denver, who are, a lot of you are in communication with Jay already, just need to just kind of, we'll get it done as fast as we can. If it was up to us, it had been open last month. But it's not up to us. We're pushing on it as hard as we can. So your patience is appreciated. Now, we brought Jay down here today, and I've asked Jay to come in and talk to us about golf. We are this is second in a series of podcasts about the two-factor model of sports performance, and the two factors are training and practice. Training is, to recap briefly, training is the thing that produces an accumulation of physiologic adaptation that makes you better capable of performing the skills that are necessary for the performance in the sport in question. And practice is the thing that allows for the repetitive execution of movement patterns that are dependent on accuracy and precision. And the difference really between the two is that practice is exquisitely specific to the sport itself, and training is extremely general in terms of its acquisition. Strength is a generally acquired thing, and practice, skill, is an extremely specific to the performance acquired adaptation. And we came up with this distinction 3 or 4 years ago, and it is a very useful way to think about sports preparation. Golf is probably one of the most popular outdoor pastimes in the country, would you say? What do you think the golf market is in terms of number of people participate in it?
Golf transcends business outings, social outings, and competitive environments. So it makes it kind of unique compared to nobody's going out and joining a basketball club.
Right.
You know, when they get a job,
Exactly.
they join golf clubs or tennis clubs. That's kind of the way these things work. And so you get these results of popularity. I'd be curious if they could find it. What the
It's 107 million 6 and up a year.
wow.
Age 6 and up, that play golf, 107 million individual participants, or golf games, or
play
what's
golf on course or off course, watch the sport on television, or read about in 2018. So there's 107 active people that are involved in golf.
involved in golf.
Involved in
Now,
golf.
that doesn't mean there are 107 million golfers. But let's say there are a third that many. Let's say there are 40 million golfers. Would that surprise you? Would that number be
40 billion would be a lot.
40 million? Million.
No, that wouldn't surprise me. 40 million? No.
That's a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of golf clubs out there.
That's a hell of a lot of people. The population of the country is 330 million. And that would mean that what? That's 15%.
Yeah, I mean, think how many people own a set of golf clubs. They probably don't play 3 times a week, but
Right.
once every other month is pretty doable for most people.
Right.
If we're considering that a golfer. So.
I had no idea that the market was that big. What is an average set of golf clubs worth? Entry-level set of golf clubs.
I mean, it depends on what you want to pay. I mean, could you get a set of used clubs, maybe $200?
Yeah. Or you could pay what? $5,000 probably for
The highest end, I think, are like $5,000 right now.
right.
Yeah, and I mean, you can get a driver for $1,000, just one club.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So there's a lot of money in this market, and
There's a lot of money in golf. Yes.
and golf, being as popular as it is a segment of the recreational market that is being underserved by the fitness industry, and the service that it does receive from the fitness industry is 99% bullshit.
Because it's yoga.
Yoga,
Some Pilates. They do Pilates.
and that weighted swinging thing.
They take the ball and swing it like this.
Right.
Yeah. Not sure what they're doing.
Well, they're wasting a bunch of time.
Yes.
That's what they're doing.
They stretch too.
Because-
A lot of stretching.
And the two-factor model is interesting in that it explains a lot of that. It explains what people should be doing,
Right.
but it also explains why it's not being done correctly.
Everybody's doing yoga and Pilates. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And once again, the two-factor model is helpful to us here. The two-factor model of sports performance and golf, approached correctly, should be a sport.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The problem with golf is that most people who play golf approach it as a game, which means that the only thing involved in it is practice, and that there's not any training component. There's no attempt to obtain an accumulation of physiologic adaptation that would make the game of golf into a sport. See, I think that's
Interesting. I never thought about it like in those terms. You're right. People do approach it like it's a game.
It's a game. They
Right.
approach it like it's billiards.
Good
They
point.
approach it as
Yes.
it's billiards.
Yes.
And I think the vast majority, and there are some notable exceptions, a couple of guys around bench press and do some stuff. Tiger benched. Tiger's supposed to have a 300 bench at one time, which is cool.
Right.
It's not astonishing, but it's
Right.
cool. Fit young man, I'll be able to bench 300. But I don't think he deadlifted. I don't think he squatted. And a game.
They squat. Now,
who
but
squats?
a lot of these guys on tour will squat. But there was Smith machine.
Smith machine, quarter squats. Yeah, right.
That stuff. Yeah.
Suboptimal.
Don't see a lot of deadlifts though, which is
No,
crazy.
probably not. That's odd.
That is odd.
That's very odd to me that they're not deadlifting.
Right.
There's not a better connection between hands and an implement, a way to prepare for that than the deadlift.
Yeah.
It's just it's kind of strange to me that it hadn't occurred to them that
Right.
just get your deadlift up to. I'm just talking about 315.
Right.
I'm not talking about a powerlifting specialization. And and let me preempt you. What you're typing right now on the YouTube comments is that Rippetoe, I think everybody needs to be a power lifter. These guys are professional golfers. They don't need a 750-pound deadlift to be a golfer. Rippetoe, you fat, stupid fuck. See?
Well, the guy.
And no, you can't beat off to this, can you? I'm sorry. But I think it's a useful distinction, but because of the definitions that fall out of the two-factor model, you can look at something as a game if there's not a training component, if all you do is practice the performance. You practice the performance.
Right.
You go to the driving range, you play 9 holes, you play 18 holes. You drive, you do stuff like that. And if that's all you're doing, then you're approaching it as a game. And for I don't have a problem with that. For most people, it is a game, and it should be approached as a game. It's recreation. It's what you do after work. You take Wednesday off and go play golf. It's a game. I don't understand why, it's so controversial that it's not a sport. It's a game for people that do it like that. But for a subset of golfers, it should be approached as a sport, which means that in addition to practice, there should be a training component to it.
Well, do you feel that the training component approached appropriately would allow them to practice more? That was kind of the guy that I sent you that you tried to get in contact with.
Yeah.
Whose back is shot. Doctors can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And had a good result.
Never heard back from him.
Right, never heard back from him. But his big complaint is, I can only hit balls for 30 minutes a day.
Right.
All these other guys are out here for, these 25-year-olds are out hitting
Right.
3-4 hours a day.
If your back hurts
Right.
and
he's a skinny guy.
It limits your
Yeah.
practice, and you're a skinny guy.
Right.
I understand that it's a leap to think that deadlifts, which to you look like a blunt object, I understand that, will improve your ability to practice highly technical golf by keeping your back from hurting. If you have a glass back and your glass back is limiting your practice and you start training, your back will become less glass-like and you'll be able to practice more. And
that's universal with recreational and professional.
Yes.
How many people that I've talked to even this year that, I throw my back at work and then they can't play golf. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of their recreation. Like they're not doing a whole lot of other stuff. That's their downtime is playing golf.
Sure.
Now all of a sudden they can't do it.
It's the only fun they have.
Right. And so they get back into, I heard I should do some yoga. That'll get me back out there.
Right. And
it never does it, yeah.
No.
Right.
All right. Yoga is not training. Yoga is stretching. And Pilates is not training. Pilates is whatever the hell Pilates is. And the difference between those types of activities and training is that training is the accumulation of a physiologic adaptation. In other words, training means that you don't go into the gym and do the same damn thing every time you're there with the same weights,
right?
In the same what you start here and then you go this way, and you don't do that with yoga, at least not in a way that is beneficial to golf. Now, looking at the game of golf, it is not aerobic. It is a stroke occasionally. And the stroke is designed to deliver the ball downrange.
Yes.
Right? Now, looked at from a physics perspective, which is a useful thing to always do, if you hit the ball harder, it will go further downrange. And if you can take a stroke off of the hole, that's helpful.
Yes.
And if you take a stroke off of the hole, you've hit the ball further. To hit the ball further, you must hit the ball harder. In order to hit the ball, you accelerate the club and transmit force from the accelerated club to the ball on the tee. And to do that, you accelerate the club by applying force to the club.
Yep.
Force is applied to the club by the whole body. A golf swing is a full body movement.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it doesn't matter what the golf swing looks like. It's necessary to understand that the kinetic chain of a golf swing is between the hands and the feet. And everything in between the hands and the feet is in the kinetic chain of the golf swing. Therefore, if we strengthen the kinetic chain involved in the golf swing, which is the whole body, then the whole body can contribute to force production during the golf swing, accelerating the club more rapidly. And since now we are stronger, each one of those club swings represents a submaximal effort that can be more precisely controlled because of the excess of force production capacity.
So listening to you explain that, it sounds so stupid, but the new thing in golf is adding miles per hour to your club head speed. It's pretty quantifiable now. They have these machines, easy. They have these machines, and they say, you just picked up 10 miles an hour with this new driver or whatever.
Right.
So common sense would tell you what?
Well, that anything else you could do to add club head speed would also affect the speed of the club head.
Right.
And
yoga.
This is a tautology. This is not complicated material. If you can hit the ball harder by applying more force to it, it doesn't matter if the club is new or not.
No.
I mean, and see, and the hilarious part of this whole thing is, if you just think about it from a perspective of first cause, and just look at the physics of the swing, we have a kinetic chain that is producing more force when it is stronger. And if you can produce more force, you can take the club and hit the ball harder with it and make the ball go further down range. Now, we're not suggesting that strength rating improves your putt.
No, but that's not the.
But that's not where you pick up the strokes.
That's not, no, and it's been quantified that is not. It's actually off the tee.
Off the tee
Strokes,
is where we're
strokes
worried.
gained off the tee. And that's why these guys are so obsessed with how far they hit the ball.
Right.
And a side note here, this is how blind golfers are to it. My wife has been playing a lot of golf this summer, and she's been doing some, grab-ass version of the program since we don't have a coach yet. But she's been hitting some tee balls, like where other people are like, whoa. I mean, she's, 128 pounds?
Right, maybe.
Right, maybe,
Maybe.
slender, physique.
Right.
Like, she's not going to produce a lot of power. And she came home one day and was like, geez, did you see how far I hit that ball? Blah, blah. I was like,
Right.
yeah. And I had seen you hit, I haven't seen that before. And then it both dawned on us. I was like, well, geez, you've been in there lifting for like the last 3-4 months. You've been making gains, not huge ones,
Right.
but nonetheless,
Right.
it's so
So
common sense.
Let's
I would
stop
think.
for just a second, and we should have done this earlier.
No.
What exactly gives you the right to have an opinion about golf? I mean, after all, and YouTubers fill in the blank. After all,
Everybody's got an opinion about golf.
right? Sure, they do.
I've played at a relatively high level. I played some mini tour golf after college, and currently play in amateur events is kind of the outlet for that now. So, just like anybody else, do I know everything? No, but if I was put in a room of golfers, I don't think anybody would argue my competence when it comes to the game.
You've been playing golf how many years?
Since I was little, and competing for at least the last 20 years. So.
Right.
That's big difference playing tournament
Right.
competitive golf and playing club golf and
Right.
playing once a year at a resort or something.
Right. Entry fees are involved, that sort of thing.
Money's put down,
Right.
money's lost more often than not,
Right.
and so yeah, you learn how good you are pretty quick when you start putting money down,
Right.
which I did,
Right.
and strangely enough, when I started, I was following the age old. Tiger's running 3 miles, and you got to run and do these
Gotta run.
circuits.
You got to do what
Right.
the greatest golfers in the world are doing.
Right.
Now, who's that fat guy that smokes that's real popular right
Right.
now? What's that guy's name?
Daly.
John Daly.
John Daly.
Do what he does and be a good golfer, right?
Drink, smoke, and gamble.
Right.
Right.
Works for John.
Right.
Hey?
Yeah.
It works It works for John.
It works for John.
And John's good.
Right. That's how you should do it.
That's the logic.
right. That's the
right?
logic. He's doing it. Yeah. But yeah, and unfortunately for me, I didn't know about starting strength back then. I'm thinking, geez, how big a difference could that have made? Because it's very obvious when I'm lifting and how far I'm hitting the ball, and I don't have a whole lot to gain, but you can hear all the club head.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, but it's being around like my wife and these amateur golfers who are recreational at best.
Right.
They have the biggest room
Sure.
for
That's everybody. This is the novice effect. It's the
absolutely yes.
same thing. Entire.
I'm topped out, but these guys aren't.
The further along you are on the curve,
Right.
the less you obtain.
Correct.
The more the beginner you are, the more the easy factors are going
Right.
to contribute to your
Right.
improvement. So in terms of yards,
Yeah.
you take a club golfer
Yes.
and go from no deadlift whatsoever to a
Right.
365.
Yeah.
What happens to his drive off the tee?
I mean,
yards.
honestly, when you even just said 365, I'm thinking, geez, that's big. I know. I know. If that 40-year-old male
Right.
is not
That's
hitting
the guy.
is not hitting it 20 yards further, I would be shocked.
And is that significant?
It would be nobody believes it. Nobody believes what you just said. They're going to believe it because we're going to quantify it here in a few months when this
Yes.
gym opens, because
Right.
the beauty of where we hit this at the right time is they have these machines that will quantify it. Period. You started at this, your swing speed is this, you're hitting it this far.
So, in other words, these metrics machines, measurement machines, actually calculate the physics of the speed, force transfer,
all of it.
ball weight, and project that
Absolutely.
down range.
Yep,
Right.
absolutely. I don't know how it works. Some little lasers, I don't know, but they work.
Oh, it's computer shit.
Yeah, it's computer shit. I don't know.
So, no, it's just a physical relationship
Right.
between the club and the ball.
Right.
Right.
Right. And any 60 plus male, it's the only thing they want to talk about. If only I could hit it a little further off the tee.
Right.
And,
And the reason they want to talk about it is because when they go from 40 to 60, if they're not training, their strength goes down.
right. And they can't
power,
play as much. Yeah.
Power is directly
Right.
proportional to strength.
Well, think about it. If you're hitting your tee ball and you're hitting 6 irons into all the greens, compared to if you start training, then all of a sudden you can hit 8 or 9 irons into greens. I mean, it's common sense. Where are you going to be more accurate with, a short club or a long club?
Right.
The shorter one.
Sure.
That's why everybody is
Sure.
obsessed with it.
If you get
Yeah.
the driver to work for
Right.
you and go from a 5 or 6 iron down to an 8 or 9 iron.
Right.
Or pitching wedge or
What-
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
That's the game that the pros are playing.
Those
Yeah.
shots are shorter
Right.
and you get closer with your putt.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. It seems so stupid when you're saying it, but
Yeah.
that's what I know.
And
I know.
it's hard to understand
Right.
why they don't understand this.
Yes.
I'll blame it squarely on the modern strength and conditioning fad that's called functional training. Okay, functional training has wasted a lot of time and a lot of money for a whole lot of people. People at all levels of athletic development and all levels of athletic potential. Functional training has a major fallacy, and that fallacy is explained by the two-factor model. If you are going to strengthen the kinetic chain, and in the case of golf and lots of other sports, the kinetic chain is hands to feet. The whole body is in the kinetic chain. You have to strengthen that with an exercise that allows you the greatest amount of potential to move progressively heavier weights. And if you move progressively heavier weights, then the kinetic chain strengthens. All right? For hands to feet, there's no better example of the kinetic chain being strengthened than the deadlift, going from you're not deadlifting to deadlifting 365 pounds. And this is not a strength specialization. 365 is not a strength specialization. It's not remarkable at all for most men. That's not a remarkable deadlift. But it's something that we can easily do. Let's say 315. Let's say 275. Pick a number. From 0 to there is a strength increase. Now, I use the deadlift because it allows me to lift the heaviest weights, and it allows me to load that entire kinetic chain in a progressive way to make the whole damn thing stronger. Now, a deadlift does not look like a golf swing, and a golf swing is a progressive, a golf swing is a full kinetic chain movement. But if I load the golf swing, let's say I make the mistake of not understanding the difference between training and practice, and I load the golf swing by loading the golf club. Does that full kinetic chain movement have the same potential for progressive increases in load that a deadlift does? And the answer is obviously no.
No, it'd be a heavy golf
No,
club.
because that's going to be a heavy golf club. If it gets heavier and heavier, what happens to the swing? It gets slower and slower. Timing is a factor in golf, right? But the way the kinetic chain in the golf swing is used, it's a sequential movement that is not a terribly full range of motion movement for the hips and knees, and the back stays at roughly the same angle. It's a rotational movement.
Right.
It uses the kinetic chain in little ways, whereas the deadlift uses the kinetic chain in big ways. And the bigger the way that the kinetic chain is loaded over the fullest range of motion of all the joints in the kinetic chain, then the more potential that movement has to cause an increase in force production over all of those ranges of motion. What functional training people don't understand is that if we strengthen in a way that's the most efficient way to strengthen, then we're stronger. And then we practice with the expression of strength we're going to use, in this case, on the course. If you take your deadlift from 0 to 365, you're stronger. You're not only stronger for the deadlift, you're stronger on the course too, because you were practicing the whole time. And B, if your back was hurting while all this was taking place, and now your back is strong enough to support itself more effectively and it's no longer hurting, and this is a common report after about 2 weeks of deadlifts, your back quits hurting. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people have told us chronic back pain's gone after 2 weeks of starting to deadlift and squat. Then, as Jay mentioned earlier, your ability to practice is enhanced because you're not limited by the pain.
I was sitting here thinking, golf, you're stationary. You know, it's the only, I'm trying to think, maybe a tennis serve, you kind of coil up, you know, so you're loading and unloading. Mm-hmm. You're not moving around like these other sports. So there's really no reason to ever, you know, bound around on one foot, do these different things, because you're loading and unloading. That's all you're doing. You're stationary. It's the only, I'm blanking on what other sport, maybe a baseball swing, but the ball's coming at you. Mm-hmm. You know, so you're having to allow for the pick up the ball from the pitcher's hand, and here the ball's sitting there.
Right.
And
yeah, but in the case of both the baseball swing and a golf swing, you are hitting a ball with an implement.
Right.
You don't look at the implement, you look at the ball.
Right.
And in one case the ball's moving, in the other case it's stationary on the tee. But you are making an implement go to the ball, and both your feet are in contact with the ground when you do this.
Right.
A tennis serve, most people leave the ground.
Right. That was the only one I was thinking.
Most of both feet when they're.
And I can't think of another. What's another? I mean, all the other ones you're moving, right?
Pretty much. You're headed toward an implement or doing something else.
Right.
But a golf swing and a baseball swing are. There's a lot of analogy there.
Sure.
There's a lot of analogy there in that the eye directs the implement in the hands that you're not looking at.
Yeah.
But in the case of comparing a golf swing to a deadlift, for example, the only similarity is the kinetic chain is the same. Right. It's used in a different way, but the whole body is the kinetic chain.
Right.
A deadlift, a heavy deadlift, might for a guy at this level might take 4 seconds.
Right.
And a golf swing takes how long?
Not that long. I think it's like a minute 30.
The swing.
Yeah, in an 18 holes of golf, you're.
I mean one swing. Takes
right. Well, I'm doing the math.
3/4 of a second.
Maybe if it's a minute and a half total in 4 hours that you're actually swinging.
Right.
Break that out. So something second or two.
It's
nothing.
It's in the vicinity of a
nothing.
1,000 is a swing.
It's quick.
From the top to the ball.
Correct.
is very quick.
Yep.
It's expressed, and the hips don't move in anything except a rotational way. The leg, the knees barely unlock.
Yeah.
So there are no similarities, and this is what confuses simple people. All right, there are no similarities in the way the two movements look, but it doesn't matter that there's no similarity in the way the two movements look. The thing that matters is what gets strengthened, because we're trying to strengthen. We're not trying to strengthen the golf swing. We're trying to strengthen the golfer. Try to wrap your head around this. A stronger golfer hits the ball harder because the golfer then makes the golf swing. And the golf swing is practiced. The golfer is trained.
Yes.
This is probably a concise way to summarize this. It doesn't matter. You don't intentionally try to make your training look like practice, because if you do, then that activity becomes neither training nor practice.
Right. And one of the main exercises you'll see golfers do, which you're kind of alluding to, is they realize that you can only get a golf club so heavy, so that's not going to work.
Right.
So what do they start doing? The medicine ball, swinging like golf club with the medicine ball, or maybe grabbing the cable and making that move.
Making the cable
And that's,
thing. You've seen these these parabolic looking frames and hook up to a cable. Look.
Right.
So since that ends up being the default thing that most golfers are fed as strength and conditioning for golf, what's wrong with that? How heavy can you get a rotational golf swing looking movement with a medicine ball? Heavy enough to make you stronger? No. That's the problem with it.
Jay,
yes.
Have you had experience doing those kind of exercises versus what strength training now?
Oh, I've done them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, and I've done, through the magazines, I've tried everything, and the biggest thing I've noticed from squatting and deadlifting is in my hips and rear and core area. I mean, it's two different people.
Right.
I'm tighter. I can create more force. I mean, it's
snap through the swing harder.
I keep repeating it. It sounds stupid to keep repeating it, but I mean, that's what you're doing. And doing, 30 reps of, with a band and whatever, I was doing.
Right.
In hindsight, I'm like, okay, I see why that was a not good use of time.
Because there's no carryover.
There's no carryover.
There's no carryover at all. It superficially looks the same.
Right.
But let's look at there's a phenomenon that must be examined when looking at movement patterns and their similarity toward each other. If you have got, and this is a good golf example, do you swing a driver the same way you swing a 9-iron?
No.
It's a different swing, isn't it?
Yeah, one's flatter, one's more up and down vertical.
Right. So, in other words, swinging a driver does not constitute practice for swinging a 9-iron.
No.
You have to do both.
You got to do both.
Because the movement patterns are superficially, to a lay person, they look kind of the same. But they're different enough to where one does not constitute practice for another. Once again, practice is exquisitely specific to the movement pattern that's going to be used in the performance. And if there are several different movement patterns in each performance, then each one of them has to be practiced separately, because movement patterns that are that specific do not carry over to each other.
No, that's a very common. This guy is a good driver of the golf ball,
right?
But he's not much of a wedge player.
So now let's go back in the weight room and do the little rotationalist, swingy-looking thing with a cable. Yeah. It's not similar to anything you've done.
Right.
It's not heavy enough to make you stronger. Certainly not in comparison to a 365 deadlift.
Right.
And therefore, it is not capable of making you stronger, while at the same time being absolutely incapable of constituting practice.
It's interesting
Right?
because you'll see a lot of these guys that are good iron players, good wedge players, but they struggle off the tee because they know they're not hitting it as far as some of these other guys, and they're at a disadvantage. Period.
Right.
And going from being a good wedge player and iron player to getting some more yards off the tee would be pretty
Two
easy.
different skills.
Yeah, but you would be able to do
Right.
it a lot easier than the other way.
Two different skills.
Right.
But training
Yeah.
prepares for both.
Right.
Because training is not specific to either one. Do you guys begin to see what I'm talking about here? I don't think this is that complicated. I think that if you understand that a stronger golfer has the potential to be a better golfer because he is merely stronger, and he's also practicing the game of golf, which is multifactorial, then he is using his now stronger body in ways that he's familiar with because he's done the strength, he's applied the strength to the various aspects of the game. And that strength is now dovetailed into the skill. Okay? And I don't think this is that hard to understand.
The narrative the narrative's been lost somewhere. I mean, I was out there. I was playing in an event yesterday, and they had a long drive, like celebrity out there. What do you think this guy looked like? I mean, he was 6'5". He was huge.
Big long arms, big long swing,
Yeah.
long linear arc.
What do you think happened to that golf ball?
I guess it went way down.
Way down there.
Way down there, and
Yeah.
it went down there because the
Right.
guy
Right.
at 6'5",
Yeah.
250, because he's stronger than your wife.
Yeah, stronger than me. And that's what I can't
Right.
figure. I think that the narrative has been lost that the average guy who leaves work every day and wants to play golf can't even think about getting anywhere near as strong as this guy.
Right.
So I better go do yoga.
Because he doesn't have the
Yeah.
physical potential that this
Right.
guy who's accidentally stronger than he is,
Right.
who's accidentally stronger than he is, and who can take that strength and display it in the skill. All right? And I think everybody knows, and this came up in our discussion with Nick about fighting. I think everybody understands that a stronger guy is more of a problem in a fight than a weaker guy. And I think everybody also understands that a stronger guy is a better golfer than a weaker guy. What they can't wrap their heads around is the idea that the best way to get stronger is to deadlift and not to do silly-ass, golf-specific, rotational bullshit in the weight room that lacks the potential to make you stronger. What's the best way to get stronger? This is the only question. If you understand the physics of a golf swing, what's the best way to get stronger for the golf swing? It's to get stronger all over because we're using the whole kinetic chain. And that question is answered. What's the best way to get stronger? By barbell training. And that's all there is to it. Now, I don't have anything to sell. Barbells are cheap. Barbells are way cheaper. I don't sell barbells anyway. Barbells are cheaper than golf clubs. You know, coaching on the barbell exercises is cheaper than golf clubs. It's cheaper than a golf club membership.
Yep.
It's
Probably cheaper than golf lessons.
It's cheaper than golf lessons.
Yep.
You know, but they have you guys believing that in order to get stronger, you have to do something that superficially looks like golf for it to apply to golf, and that's just not true. And I think our discussion here has illuminated that a little bit. How many guys have you coached that play golf?
I coached high school golf for a few years. Yeah, and at the time I knew that we needed these kids. I mean, these are high school boys,
Right.
you know, get them in the weight room. I mean, they're skinny little guys.
Right.
And I had to give up because it was almost impossible, as you would configure, to get time in the weight room.
Right.
And then at that point, everybody's jacking around, so it's kind of it's just difficult.
2 weeks of strength training will make a difference off the tee.
Yes.
To everybody.
To everybody. Yeah.
To everybody.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. No, I mean I can't imagine if the average recreational golfer had even 50% of what you think baseline, you know, numbers should be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would change the activity for everybody.
Right.
There's plenty of different activity. Hitting the
Well-
ball further. I mean, they're hitting shorter clubs they're just more accurate. Scores get lower,
Right.
and they can they'll be less. They won't be as injured. I mean,
Right.
I should the back injury piece of it enough. It's like, geez,
Yeah.
all you want to do is play golf, and yet you got to protect your back by doing yoga.
You have to use your back
Yeah,
playing golf, and you think that yoga is
Right.
going to make your back stronger.
right. Protect it.
Protected
gotta be
because
protected.
it's been stretched that day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is the idea that a stronger set of muscles around the back such an arcane concept that people don't understand how a deadlift would make your back healthier, quieter, more pain free,
Deadlifts are
and
bad.
more able
Yeah,
to
I don't know.
more able to transmit force.
I don't know where
because deadlifts hurt your back.
They hurt your back. They hurt your back.
And-
They're bad.
Right.
It hurt your back doing
Now
that.
we got a
Jay, be
long way to
careful.
go.
You're going to hurt your back.
Got
Be
a long
careful.
way to go, man. Might hurt your back picking something heavy up.
Right.
Because, I guess the assumption is that I'm going to load the bar to 365 and take a guy off the street and say,
Right.
hey, pick that up.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, what is the assumption?
I think that's the assumption.
Go pick that up. Oh, you did it wrong.
Right.
See,
They don't
that's-
see the
yeah,
process.
Right.
See the process. This thing
Right.
right here, that process is what they're missing.
Right.
They don't understand that we don't start you, we find where you are today.
Yeah.
And then we add 10 pounds next time. And then we add 10 pounds after that. And then 10 pounds after that. And then 5 pounds after that. And over time, we accumulate a strength adaptation. It's a cumulative process. It starts where you are now. Where you are now defines where we start. And then we're going to force you to get stronger by adding a little weight to the bar every time you come into the gym. And it doesn't take very long to get you up to that 275, 315, 365-pound deadlift. It doesn't take that long. It doesn't take 6 months. You can put together 6 months of training. Your deadlift's over 300. And if you're a woman, you can put together 6 months of training. Your deadlift's over 185. And these are just baseline numbers. If your trainer, your coach, your strength coach doesn't know how to do that, then he's not qualified to charge you money for it. All right? This is not an astonishing accomplishment. And, people in this industry thrive off of the ignorance of their client base.
They do. I see it. I see a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like just private training sessions, and you're thinking, what are you paying for?
Yes.
What exactly just happened here? Can't quantify any of it. Maybe you feel good when you're finished because you did something. You got to talk to somebody, but what's your end game?
Nothing changed.
Right, nothing changed. No body transformations.
Right. You didn't make anything improve.
Right.
You
Well,
just
so the novice effect, though. I mean, it's the same shit as always.
the novice effect explains a lot of it. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
If a guy goes from not doing anything at all to taking a 5-pound dumbbell and waving it around in the air while standing on a Bosu ball while another guy throws a golf ball at him,
Right.
that's okay. Yeah, for a couple of weeks, that's going to make you feel like you accomplished something. But does it have the potential
Right.
to continue to accumulate an adaptation over years
And
or even weeks.
Yeah, I wonder
it doesn't.
if people even appreciate what being strong really means. Like you just threw out the number 365, you know, for a deadlift should just be that, Jay. Come on, that's easy.
Yeah.
And if you, I mean, people I'm around would think you were crazy.
Yeah, I know.
And that's, I think that is, and
It's just they come from a different level of
right.
experience than I do with it, and it's been our experience that 365 is not remarkable.
Right.
You know, especially for a younger guy.
Right.
You know, and we can't take a 19-year-old kid and get him to a 365-pound deadlift in 6 months. We're not doing our job.
Right.
Because that's not heavy.
Or you're going to be 400 pounds, you know, by the time you're able to lift that much.
Right.
They just, I don't know what, somewhere the narrative got off. And I don't know.
Well, it got off intentionally.
Yeah.
Because people that don't want to bother to learn how to do these, how to learn how to coach these movements, have talked about their little bullshit rotational things that they do in their functional training. And there's a bunch of money in functional training.
Yes.
Whole bunch of money in functional training. Because it superficially looks logical. But if you'll think about it from the standpoint of the two-factor model, it's not logical at all.
Well, I mean, it looks complicated.
It does look complicated.
You must be smart to figure that out.
And complexity appeals to stupid people.
Yeah.
And I've said that before, and I can't apologize for it because it's certainly true. And by stupid, I don't mean just, you know, an imbecile. I'm talking about someone who hasn't thought about this.
They don't thought of They haven't thought through it.
Right. They haven't thought through it. They're ignorant. Stupidity appeals, complexity appeals to ignorant people.
Yeah.
And stupid people too. Two different things. But if you think about it for just a minute, in terms of how the body adapts over time to stress and what the body is doing when it applies its physical capacity to a specific activity, you'll understand that practice and training are two completely different things. They must both be undertaken in order to get the most out of a performance.
Yes.
Anything else, Jay?
No.
Well, I think we pretty much nailed it. I think that's a pretty cogent explanation of
honestly,
the things going on
It's
here.
frustrating to sit here and rehash this conversation because it does seem like such common sense. And the bummer is we don't have the data to quantify it, and we will within 6 months easily.
Right. What we need, I'll tell you what we need, and this is what will break us through. We need a guy with a name that's on the tour to just try this for 3 months. That's all we need is one guy.
One guy.
That's willing to listen to what we're trying to tell him. If what we're talking about is complete and utter bullshit, it should be apparent in 3 months.
You would think that those guys are incentivized enough to try anything.
You would think. And
they're like that Arjun Atwal that you try to reach out to, like that guy, you can't play as much anymore. Your back's busted. Doctors can't do anything for you. I mean, wouldn't you be trying everything? You would
one
think.
would think, but one might be mistaken.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't really know how deep a guy like that's interest is in moving out of his comfort zone.
Right.
You know, if you're going to try something completely new, something that would be regarded as so completely outside the norm as deadlifts and squats and overhead presses for golf, you're going to have a guy that's not, you know, that's comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
And a lot of people are just not, you know. And I don't know.
And as these guys, you know, a guy like that who is looking to transition to the Champions Tour and the 50-plus Tour, you know, logic would tell you, how am I going to strengthen my body to maintain another 8 years of travel competitive golf?
Right.
Seems logical.
It does seem logical.
Not
There's
with
no
you-
better
not with
way to
yoga.
strengthen the
Yeah,
body
right.
than with barbell strength training. More and more people are understanding that.
Right.
But why not him?
Right? Why not? Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, and golf is a tough sport because it is a very any type of outside perspective. That guy Bryson DeChambeau on tour right now. I mean, he's kind of an outsider because he does things a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes that.
No,
especially when you get to the name level, what these people are doing
Right.
that. But
everybody's supposed to act the same way.
Everybody's supposed to do it the same way, and what do who are you to do it differently?
Right. I can think of a politician that's kind of made everybody uncomfortable the same way.
Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, Bernie. Bernie, who won't pay his own staff $15 an hour. Oh God. Yes, Bernie. So anyway, well, Jay, thanks for coming down. Appreciate your being here today with us to talk about this important topic. I hope that what we can do when your gym gets open and we get this thing off the ground, we get the data, we can start convincing people in golf and other sports that are suffering from this archaic mindset in terms of how to prepare for a performance. I hope we can get some progress made, and let's get people who are willing to do the work to get on board with us, and let's get everybody strong and move them along down the career path to the pro level.
I'm excited to do it.
Yep.
Let's get that HVAC. Get it up there and running.
Absolutely. If I was an air conditioner guy, I promise I'd help. Thank you for joining us today on Starting Strength Radio. We'll see you next time.